Chad Wolf, Executive Director of the America First Policy Institute and former acting Homeland Security Secretary during Trump's first term. Welcome back. It's nice to see you, as always. Let's start with the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, specifically what it would allow the administration to do and what challenges you anticipate it to face in court.
Well, thanks for having me on. Look, the Aliens Enemy Act allows the president, allows this administration to target different groups of individuals, and they've said that they're going to focus on Tren de Aragua. And obviously, the president has designated this group as well as other groups as a foreign terrorist organization. So what the administration is really saying is, look, we're going to take the worst of the worst, and if we apprehend them here in the United States, then we want the ability to remove them out of the country as quickly and expeditiously as possible. And we're going to utilize this authority to do it. And look, I think most Americans would say, yes, let's get those individuals out of this country. They should have never been here in the first place. So I think some targeted use on how they use this is probably in a good way.
And how specific should they be then in designating the use of this act? I mean, his example was someone pushes someone in front of a train and then a 15-year trial. Do you expect more specifics?
Well, they could certainly lay out more specifics. I'm sure they will continue to talk to the American people about how they intend to use this. But again, I think what we've seen here is we've had 4 years of what occurred along that border and what has occurred in American communities because of the Biden administration's ability and willingness to let anyone and everyone come into the United States. And now it's left to the Trump administration to make some sense out of it and figure out how to remove the bad folks, the bad individuals here out of the country and utilizing authorities that they have. They're not trying to make up whole or new authorities. In fact, they're just looking at what's in law today. And yes, it hasn't been used this way. I think you mentioned it's only been used 3 different times, but that's not to say it can't be used this way.
This Department of Justice visit today, we'll be watching this closely. Most presidents historically, Chad, have kept the DOJ at arm's length to at least keep the appearance of a department running independently from the White House. What's your read on this visit?
Well, I would say that President Trump is not your traditional president, and he's shown that time and time again for the benefit of the American people. And so, look, I think as he goes there and he lays out, look, here's what law and order means in the United States. Here's what accountability means in the United States. And here's what, immigration enforcement means in the United States. These are all missions of the Department of Justice. This is what they do each and every day. And so I don't see any reason why the president, the attorney general answers to the president cannot go to the department and lay out a vision that he wants to see the same way that he would do at the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security. He would go there and give a speech and what he lays out for their mission set as well.
He certainly has the authority to do so. You referenced the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. One of the members of her department has come out and talked about some of Trump's criminal cases, and they said in light of their actions, the acting Attorney General doesn't trust these officials to assist in faithfully implementing the president's agenda, and the action is consistent with the mission of ending the weaponization of the government. What actions has she already taken, and what do you anticipate to see on that front?
Well, I think AG Bondi has taken a number of actions. And look, she's assessing the personnel there, right? Because the president deserves to have people in all of these agencies. DOJ is not dissimilar to others that believe in his agenda, that want to see progress made on that front. And if she determines that there are officials there at the Department of Justice that will not do that, will impede that agenda, then she should have the ability, and she does have the ability, to move them out and move them into different positions or to remove them altogether. So I think that's what you see there. I'm sure there will be other actions that the Attorney General will take along with the FBI director to end this weaponization. I'm sure that will be a big part of what the president talks about the politicization of the Justice Department, of the inability to apply the law equally across the board, and trying to get back to that. That will also likely be a big part of what his message is today.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.